being spanked or whooped or something like that. But it has a connotation really more of child training. So it could be as much coaching as it is on the negative side of, getting spanked. And then he says, verse 9, furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reference. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? For they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure. But he, speaking of God, for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. God's specific purpose for child training, for allowing, he does it basically through means of trials, of difficult circumstances. He might allow health issues to arise in your life. He might allow financial issues, relationship issues. He might allow any combination of those things in your life to happen, for a specific purpose of developing you as a. This is speaking to the believers. This is speaking to people who are born again. That we would be partakers of his holiness. Holiness here is basically the concept is God is not like everybody else. God is different. He's unique. Okay, he's not like everybody else. And so the thing is, in order for me to be able to partake, to be able to enjoy that uniqueness of God, he allows the circumstances, he allows difficulties in life in order for me to be able to be developed, that I would be purged of things that would hinder or be an obstacle to that fulfilling relationship with him. And he tells us here, we gave reverence to our earthly parents. In other words, we respected them. We when our parents, maybe got angry with us, or they spanked us, or they disciplined us, they trained us, we would, we'd obey them. After a while, you'd learn your lesson. So, wouldn't it make sense if we did that with our earthly parents, that we should do the same thing with God? And they did it. Their motivation was, maybe they get on my nerves for whatever they're doing, so I just want to stop getting on my nerves. But God does it for our benefit, our eternal benefit, actually. And then verse 11 it says, now no chastening for the present seemeth joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. And then verse 12 it says, wherefore lift up the hands which hang down and the feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame is turned out of the way, but let it rather be healed. Chastening or child training isn't always, it tells us here it's not presently something to be enjoyed. It's not very pleasant. But the thing is, if you allow the process to mold you, if you allow the process to work in your heart, you're going to have benefit at the end of it. So it's the after effects is what you're really looking for. I guess a similar illustration would be something like, say you were, you wanted to train to, like, say, run a marathon, or you wanted to train to do something like very physically strenuous. Usually marathons, you want to train about like 4 to 6 months ahead of time before you actually run it, and you work your way up, starting from small distances to run. A full marathon is about 26.2 miles, and if you run it, it usually takes about maybe a little bit over 3 weeks to recover from it after you run it, regardless of how well trained you are, because it's really long distance and want to run it at one length of time. Usually about 2 to 3 weeks before they actually run it, you should have worked your way up to about like a 13 mile or 13.1 mile run. The training itself for it, I mean, you might enjoy actually going out running long distances, but there's a little bit more involved than just the actual distance running that you do for one. You would probably want to intersperse like interval training or speed training, doing wind sprints, which those are actually a little bit painful at times, but there's a great benefit to them because they really drop your time. I guess what I'm trying to say with this is like you might not necessarily enjoy the getting up early and then going out and running the super long distances and then going out and doing wind sprints until it feels like your heart wants to pop out of your chest, and then your legs are burning up, and then you're all wobbly and stuff. And the thing is, it's like, man, this really isn't fun. There's really no fun to it at all. But the thing is, when you mark your progress after, say, maybe about 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and you watch, even though it's still just as painful when you run that 4th week as when you started running at that first week, you see progress in the fact that your time has dropped, say maybe 30 seconds or a minute and a half, even maybe as much as like 2 minutes. So you've become faster, even though it's just as strenuous for you. You think, wow, okay, there's progress, there's benefit to it. Now, I mean, I know it seems like a trite thing, running speed, but the thing is, with the difficulties and circumstances that God allows in our life, as far as to be able to chasten us, we have benefit that would be eternal. We get to partake of His holiness. We get to develop. In the book of Romans, it tells us that tribulation worketh patience, and then patient worketh hope, and patient worketh experience, and experience hope, and hope maketh not ashamed, for the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts. So we have benefit of, beyond just patience, experience, a walk with God that we can relate to, that we have a track record now, and then we have hope, which is, biblical hope is basically an expectation. It's the idea that this is sure and it's going to come to pass. And so what God is doing is He's going to allow, He is basically just waiting on a promise to come to be. It's waiting to collect your check, And so we have promises in the Word of God from Him about a number of things that He wants to do and that He's going to do. And if we would, by faith, basically trust Him by believing Him, and through patience just wait on Him, we would be able to receive the benefit and the fulfillment, the actual realization of those things in our lives. And so these are some of the benefits that God allows. But if you want to shortchange that and basically forfeit that because you want to catch attitude with Him and say, God, this isn't fair. God, the difficulties and circumstances in my life, they really stink. And, I don't like this. I mean, you can let your heart out to Him, but turning back and quitting on Him, that's not very beneficial. I mean, it does hurt Him in His heart, but in the end, really, we end up being the losers. We end up being the ones who are hurt, because the thing is, we have everything to gain by walking with God. We're the ones that are the great beneficiaries of walking with God. And so He tells us here, lift up the hands that hang down and the feeble knees. In other words, if you're getting weak, if you're getting weary, if you're getting to the point where you feel like, man, life stinks. I don't want to keep on walking for God. I don't, why read the Bible? It's just like a bunch of myths. It's a bunch of empty words. Why, these are a bunch of stories about dudes that, were way before my time. What benefit is there in this? God speaks to us presently through His Word. He communicates with us. He'll speak very specifically and pointedly to your heart if you would but open your heart to Him and really ask Him. If you read in the Word of God, looking for Him with an open heart.